What's up, everybody? Michael Walsh here. So I just got done watching Faraz Sahabi's video breaking down who he thought was going to win between Dricus and Khamzat this weekend. And he had an interesting thought, which was that if MMA were fought over one 7-minute round instead of 3 5-minute rounds or 5 5-minute rounds, then in that situation, Khamzat would not only remain undefeated, but he'd go down as the greatest fighter to ever live. Like, no one would beat him. And I can see why he would say that, because just look at Khamzat. Like, we all know he's possibly the greatest first-round fighter of all time, and we know he drops off somewhere in the second round. So that makes sense, 7 minutes. But what immediately occurred to me was, what would happen if you took prime Yoel Romero and threw him in with Khamzat for one 7-minute round? And Yoel Romero didn't have to manage his gas tank. He didn't have to be 3-round Yoel. He could just let it all out from the beginning. And honestly, that just made me think, like, what would happen in a normal fight? What would happen in a 3-round fight, a 5-round fight between prime Yoel Romero and Khamzat Chimaev? And honestly, like, I might lean towards Yoel on that one, because, like, obviously on paper, Yoel is the better wrestler. He's a silver medalist at the Olympics. Khamzat is just, like, clearly a good wrestler from the Russian region. But we all know that Khamzat's MMA grappling is better. Like, we know that his jiu-jitsu is better, the way he holds people down, pins them, controls them, uses it to set up ground and pound. That's all better. Like, he's a better MMA grappler than Yoel. Yoel barely used his wrestling to win fights. Like, he would sometimes. Like, he'd get people down and land some gnarly ground and pound. That's how he finished Lyoto Machida. But in general, like, he would just kind of sprinkle it in here and there and mostly win with strikes. And, you know, Yoel Romero almost struck me as like a Justin Gaethje type. Like, I wonder how much Yoel worked on his jiu-jitsu, how much he worked on his MMA grappling, you know, whether that's wrestling on the fence, whether that's setting up ground and pound, whatever. He struck me as a guy who kind of just kept his wrestling sharp and then mostly focused on his striking. But, you know, so could that mean that Khamzat would just prove that having a more complete grappling game would be enough, and that he would get Yoel's back, that he would actually get a choke in, and Yoel wouldn't actually be that defensively sound? Possibly. But I think more likely is that Yoel would just come out ready for the wrestling. Because, you know, Yoel has been taken down here once or twice. Like, Chris Weidman got him down, I believe. I think even Derek Brunson got him down. And it was a very sort of MMA-style situation where Yoel, like, had just gotten done throwing a punch and his hips were super exposed, and Brunson got in really deep, and then he got him down. Yoel got up, like, immediately. But, you know, could that happen, and could Khamzat keep him down? Maybe. But I think usually Yoel, you know, he definitely kept his wrestling sharp, because he would hit these gnarly takedowns on people, and we saw him training it in, like, his training footage. But I suspect in most cases Yoel just wasn't worried about anybody's takedowns. You know, I suspect in most cases he was worried about the other MMA shit, which was, for him, mostly just the striking, because he didn't worry about the ground much. But if he's fighting Khamzat, you know, like, if they both know they're going to fight each other and have a training camp, like, Yoel is going to focus on his fucking wrestling. He's going to know this guy's going to come out, try to double leg me, you know, and this is how he's going to try to pin me, how he's going to try to hold me down. I'm going to work on that. And honestly, I like Yoel's chances, regardless whether it's a fictional 7-minute round or whether it's a normal MMA fight. Like, I like his chances of keeping it on the feet, of getting up from bottom if he does get taken down, and getting the better of the striking. Because neither of them were elite strikers in terms of their, like, boxing skills or whatever. But I think Yoel Romero was the far more effective striker. Like, yes, Khamzat can crack. Yes, he knocked out GM3 in 19 seconds. He has that great knockout on the regional scene. Like, he dropped Gilbert Burns and had a good war with him. But, like, Yoel Romero was a legitimate knockout artist. And Yoel Romero clearly hit harder. He clearly had, like, a better eye for an opening. He clearly had better reflexes on the feet. He was clearly more durable. He's bigger. He's stronger. Like, I just like his chances all around. Like, it's, like, you know, Khamzat, you know, has been really impressive. Like, what he did to Robert Whittaker was gnarly. It's, you know, Yoel couldn't do that to Whittaker on the ground. What he did to Usman was insane, and we see that Usman still got it, because we just saw him fight Joaquin Buckley. But, like, I just don't see him doing that shit to Yoel Romero. And I do see Yoel Romero hurting him bad on the feet. And even if they have to push the gas tank, like, they've been in similar situations, because we know, obviously, Khamzat did terribly in the Usman fight. We know that, you know, in the Burns fight, he couldn't keep up the pace the whole time. but like the Burns fight is very comparable to Yoel Romero's fight with Paulo Costa. And honestly, Yoel Romero pushed harder in that fight than Khamzat did in the Burns fight. Like Yoel did good in the third round, and that was an old Yoel Romero. Like Yoel Romero was always old. He started MMA late. Like he was 40 years old, I believe, in the first Whitaker fight, just to put it in perspective. And the Costa fight was a couple years after that. But like even old Yoel Romero, I think, kind of pushed harder in a grueling, like rock'em sock'em robot kind of war than did Khamzat in the Burns fight. And that was against a fucking lightweight. So like, former lightweight, you know, at welterweight. But, you know, and I'm thinking prime Yoel Romero. I'm not thinking the Yoel Romero that fought Paulo Costa. I'm thinking the Yoel Romero that fought Jacare Souza, Lyoto Machida. Like, that's probably Yoel Romero at his best. I'm thinking that guy versus Khamzat. I might pick him in a 7-minute round. I might pick him in 3 5-minute rounds. I might pick him in 5 5-minute rounds. Like, I like him versus Khamzat. I think that's just that potentially is just a fucking poison matchup. That could just be an historic nightmare matchup for someone like Khamzat. And, you know, it's soothing to me because I'm a Yoel Romero fan. I saw him fight Whitaker in the rematch in Chicago, a fight that he probably should have won. I saw that live. You know, Khamzat and Dricus is happening in Chicago this weekend, so I guess Chicago just loves fucking middleweight bangers. But, you know, I made a video previously about how Rob Whitaker and Yoel Romero are very underrated in the like middleweight GOAT discussions, and how Yoel Romero's resume is actually sneakily comparable to Dricus's. Now, that'll change a bit if Dricus wins this weekend. But if Khamzat wins, I think that's like a fun discussion point where, because Khamzat will look unbeatable, everyone will make him out to be God's gift to fighting, and he is spectacular, I'm a big fan. But I was also a big fan of Yoel Romero, and I think he might have beaten him.